All right, good morning. Hello, good morning, brothers and sisters, outlaws of all ages. This is Brendan the Naked Farmer with your Bloom's Almanac Minute. Today is Thursday, the 23rd of February. We're influenced today by a fruitful water sign of Pisces and a young waxing moon. So let's get out there and enjoy our plantings today and start planting and sowing our spinach seeds, our collards, and kale. I have my kale out there since it's been a few months. I was letting it grow over the winter time, and it did pretty well. Took a little while, but now it's coming on very nicely and it's delicious. So get out there, and I've also planted spinach 2 weeks ago at the last, right before the full moon, and then I'll be doing it again before too long, today and tomorrow, and before the beginning of March, or in the beginning of March anyway. Let's see. It's now a good time also to be planting or to be sowing inside our tomato seeds, our pepper seeds, our eggplants. I started mine a few months ago, but we can keep on going. I like to do things in experiments, so I'll be continuing on planting more inside as we go along through the year. And I'll be planting outside in March and April to see what happens. You I know we do need to transplant our tomatoes and peppers before they're fruiting to give them a chance to kind of adapt to the extreme heat before it gets here. So we want to have them fruiting before the extreme heat. Potato or tomatoes can't produce their fruit after 90 degrees. And here in Texas, it was 90 degrees in March last year. It was with us until November nearly. So anyway, we had extreme heat, and if that's upon us, then our tomatoes are going to be suffering, and they're not going to be able to produce a lot of fruit and vegetation. Well, they'll produce a lot of vegetation, which is what I found last year was my first year was that if you plant late, well, you'll get a lot of vegetation, but those tomatoes aren't going to do very well until the fall when it starts to decrease in temperatures below 90 degrees, when they'll give you eventual fruit. But let's see, with this erratic weather, I mean, it seems like an early spring. Look out right now. I mean, I'm stripped off, and it's still February, so who knows with this erratic weather. I mean, my friend Eddie told me that if you can see pecan trees blooming out, um, with their greenery, if they're getting green, then it's about time to start planting out there. So I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna start planting early because it looks beautiful out here, and I got an oak tree in the distance over there that's producing its vegetation already. So anyway, I'm gonna start my tomatoes out there, plant them out, and see what happens. And I'll plant them underneath their clutch. I'll cut off the bottom of a milk jug, and I'll plant that put that on top of the plants until they come up, and we have no more frost coming. Because who knows? We'll get a late frost that'll take everything out. So I hope that doesn't happen because that would ruin a lot of things. But a few of the experiments that paid off for me last year were the such things that I did were planting pinto beans in between my tomato plants. I planted them to see what would happen. I knew that pinto beans would provide nitrogen, so I wanted to provide the nitrogen to the tomato plants and see what would happen with the tomato plants and whether or not they would produce, very well, or if they'd be stunted because they had plants around them. So I found that they did actually pretty well. That the pinto beans climbed up the tomato cages that I had planted around them, or that I had staked around them, and my Cherokee tomatoes and the brandywines did wonderful. So I did learn also that you need to take off the suckers because you just grow too much vegetation. It'll focus on producing too much of the vegetation rather than the actual fruit itself, which is what you want. So pay attention to that. That's what I'm going to be doing. Um, I also put red Christmas ornament balls that you know were to fool the tomato plants into believing that they were late in producing their fruit. So I did this, and it actually worked out pretty well. It was pretty funny. I did this at my job at Bobo's Nursery in Jewett, which is a great place if you can go by there and pick up some plants. I know they take care of their stuff very well, so head on up there. But they gave me the Christmas balls, and I put them on my tomato plants, and I saw a difference that they try to put out for me a lot sooner. So I'll do that again this year. I just gotta find some more Christmas lights. Celebrated it. Anyway, the corn spiral that I did was also just to be different. I wanted it to be different because I'm told, oh, you gotta grow things in straight lines, straight lines, straight lines. Well, nothing in nature that I'm really aware of grows in an exact straight line. You know, Victor Schauberger told us that water travels properly through spirals and you know in 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 curves and angles better than just a straight line. So this sounds very interesting, and if you look in nature, you see the golden ratio all around us. And that's a spiral. I mean, it's in pine cones, it's in sunflower seed development, it's in broccoli, it's in what is the Romanesco cauliflower. So it's all around us, and so this spiral shape that I did with my corn was conducive to the pollination of corn, which needs the wind to shake the top tassels onto the lower silks, which are all vaginas. Every single one of them is an ovary, more or less. And when it receives the pollen, each single one goes into the kernel. Each single silk goes to a kernel and needs to be pollinated. So we do depend on the seasons on the wind to shake that for us, unless we can get out there and do it ourselves, which I try to. I shake them and put them down when I can. But I was amazed at how it is and how they grew. So I went out there and I was eating from the garden, just straight off the corn stalk. So and it was delicious. I'm really amazed that you didn't need butter, you didn't need to cook it, you didn't need to prepare it. You can just eat it straight out of the garden. So I'd be out there like a little rabbit, eating it away because it was delicious. My golden bantam sweet corn was delicious, and I thank Wabash for giving it to me. Well, for providing me with the seeds. And now I'm excited to strip off the rest of my pants and get out there and do my naked garden properly. So thanks, Outlaws. Y'all have a great day. Take care.